Have you ever wondered why good people suffer? It's a question that has puzzled humanity since time immemorial. As we navigate through the complexities of life, we often witness the paradox of suffering amongst the righteous. This brings us to the stirring tale of a man named Job, a figure described as blameless and upright. His story, deeply rooted in the scriptures, is a profound exploration of human suffering, faith, and divine providence. Job was a man who seemingly had it all: wealth, family, and a deep sense of spirituality. Yet, he was to endure trials that would make even the strongest among us quiver. Despite his righteousness, he lost everything he held dear. The story of Job compels us to question, to dig deeper into our understanding of life's trials and tribulations. It makes us ponder the age-old question: how could such a man be made to suffer so much? Job's trials begin with unimaginable losses. Picture the wealthiest person you know, someone whose prosperity is apparent in every aspect of their life. Imagine their world suddenly turned upside down, stripped of the very things that define their status and security. This was the harsh reality for Job. Job was a man of immense wealth. He had 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, 500 yokes of oxen, 500 female donkeys, and a very large household. Job was, by all measures, the greatest man among all the people of the East. But in a swift turn of events, Job lost everything. In one day, marauders stole his livestock, and a mighty wind collapsed the house of his oldest son, taking the lives of all his 10 children. Job's wealth, his status, his family, all were swept away in the blink of an eye. It's hard to fathom such losses, isn't it? But Job's trials didn't stop there. The loss of his wealth and his children was tragic enough, but then Job was struck with painful sores from the soles of his feet to the top of his head. His physical health, the one thing he still had, was also taken away. Yet through all of this, Job never blamed God. Instead, he fell to the ground in worship, saying, "The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord." That's in Job chapter 1, verse 21. It's a profound statement of faith, isn't it? Even in the midst of unimaginable loss and suffering, Job chose to bless the name of God. His wealth, his children, his health, everything was gone, but Job's faith remained. I want you to consider that for a moment. Imagine yourself in Job's shoes. How would you respond? Would your faith remain unshaken like Job's? Or would you crumble under the weight of your losses? Job's losses were profound, yet his faith remained unshaken. It's a powerful reminder that our faith is not dependent on our circumstances, but on our relationship with God. Job's friends, in their attempt to comfort him, misunderstood his situation. This misunderstanding gives us a profound insight into how we perceive suffering and divine justice. Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar, Job's friends, enter the narrative with the best of intentions. They sit in silence with Job for 7 days, sharing his pain. But when they finally speak, their words reflect a simplistic understanding of God's ways. They argue that Job must have sinned to deserve such punishment. Eliphaz, the first to speak, says in Job chapter 4, verses 7 and 8, "Consider, who that was innocent ever perished? Or where were the upright cut off? As I have seen, those who plow iniquity and sow trouble reap the same." They believed in a world where the righteous flourish and the wicked suffer, a direct and immediate correlation between actions and consequences. This belief, though seemingly just, fails to account for the complexity of human life and God's wisdom. Their responses reflect a misunderstanding of God's ways. They assume a mechanical view of divine justice, where every misfortune is a punishment for sin. But Job's story challenges this notion. Job, a man described as blameless and upright, suffers immense loss and pain, shattering their simplistic understanding of divine justice. In their desire to rationalize Job's suffering, his friends overlooked the essential truth of empathy. They were more interested in defending their theological viewpoint than in understanding and sharing Job's pain. Their speeches, filled with accusations and insinuations, added to Job's suffering instead of alleviating it. This narrative invites us to reflect on our own responses to suffering. Do we, like Job's friends, rush to judgments and assumptions, or do we offer empathy and understanding? Job's friends failed to comprehend the depth of his suffering and the complexity of God's plan. As we delve deeper into Job's story, we'll explore how Job's faith responded to these accusations and how God answered Job out of the whirlwind. Despite his trials, Job remained faithful, and God responded. In the heart of adversity, Job's faith remained unshaken. He clung to his belief, echoing the words we find in Job chapter 13, verse 15. Though he slay me, yet will I trust in him. An affirmation of unwavering faith amidst the storm, a testament to Job's profound trust in God, even when his circumstances suggested otherwise. Job's faith was not blind. It was a conscious choice, a commitment to trust God regardless of his circumstances. He knew deep down that God was in control, that his ways were higher than our ways, his thoughts beyond our comprehension. Job trusted God, not because of what he could see or understand, but because of who God is, sovereign, righteous, and good. And it was this unwavering faith that elicited a response from God. The creator of the universe chose to engage with Job, speaking to him out of a whirlwind. God didn't offer Job the answers he sought, nor did he provide a reason for his suffering. Instead, God reminded Job of his sovereignty, his power, and his wisdom. He asked Job, "Where were you when I laid the earth's foundation?" A profound reminder that God's understanding far surpasses our own. God's response wasn't a rebuke, but a reaffirmation of his divine nature. He didn't belittle Job's suffering or dismiss his questions. Instead, God asserted his authority and wisdom, reminding Job that he is the creator, sustainer, and ruler of all things. It was in this conversation that God also addressed Job's friends, reprimanding them for their lack of understanding. They had tried to explain Job's suffering using their limited human wisdom, but they had missed the mark. They had spoken about God without knowledge, relying on their own assumptions rather than God's revealed truth. In the end, it was Job's steadfast faith that stood out. Despite his trials, he held fast to his trust in God, choosing faith over understanding, trust over doubt. And it was this faith that God responded to, affirming his sovereignty and wisdom in the face of human suffering and confusion. Job's faith was rewarded, and his friends were reprimanded for their misunderstanding. Job's story doesn't end in despair, but in restoration. As we delve deeper into the narrative, we see that Job's story takes a hopeful turn. After all the trials and tribulations, after all the loss and suffering, there comes a time of renewal and restoration. This is not just a return to his former state, but an elevation to a place of even greater abundance. In the book of Job, chapter 42, verse 10, we find these words, "The Lord restored Job's losses when he prayed for his friends. Indeed, the Lord gave Job twice as much as he had before." This is a profound statement. It signifies not just a recompense for Job's losses, but a doubling of his original wealth. Imagine this, Job, who had lost everything, his wealth, his children, his health, is now blessed with twice as much as he had before. His wealth is restored, he is blessed with 10 more children, and he lives to see his children and his children's children for 4 generations. But the restoration of Job's fortunes is not just about material wealth. It's a restoration of his spirit, of his faith, and of his relationship with God. It's a testament to the fact that even in our darkest hours, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. The story of Job is not just about suffering and loss, it's about faith, endurance, and ultimately, about redemption. Job's faith was tested, but it was not broken. His endurance in the face of unimaginable trials is a testament to the strength of his faith. Job's story is a reminder that no matter how great our trials, no matter how deep our losses, there's always hope for restoration. It's a reminder that God is always with us, even in our darkest hours, guiding us, comforting us, and ultimately, restoring us. Job's story is a testament to enduring faith in the face of unimaginable trials. What lessons can we draw from Job's story? As we delve into the heart of Job's narrative, we encounter profound truths about life and faith. Firstly, the existence of suffering. Job's story is a stark reminder that pain and loss are part of the human experience. Yet it's not about why we suffer, but how we respond. Secondly, the importance of faith. Job's unwavering trust in God, despite his circumstances, is a testament to the strength of faith. It's a call to remain steadfast in our beliefs, even when the world around us crumbles. Thirdly, the complexity of God's ways. Job's story teaches us that God's plans are intricate and often beyond our understanding. We are reminded to trust in his wisdom, even when we can't make sense of our circumstances. Finally, the hope of restoration. Job's eventual restoration offers us a glimmer of hope that suffering is not the end. It's a beacon of light in the darkness, reminding us that joy can be found even after the storm. Job's story challenges us to remain faithful, even in the midst of trials, and assures us of God's ultimate plan for good.